Imagine being able to rewatch your favorite TV show with your best friend, who has literally never seen an episode before. That's our premise, and what we hope will set us apart from the other Office podcasts you may have stumbled across. So welcome to Bears Beats Bobbleheads, Talkin Office, the podcast where three brave souls discuss every episode of The Office, from pilot to finale, and we get a fresh reaction from someone who has just watched the episode for the very first time in their life only hours before. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office, and we are all the way to Season 2, Episode 13, The Secret. First aired January 19, 2006, and written by Lee Eisenberg, directed by Denny Gordon. And gentlemen, let's start the show as we always do by each of us giving our favorite moment from The Secret. Joe, why don't you kick us off, please?
Yeah, my favorite moment is Michael comes into the break area, and he wants to get an update on the pea situation from Jim. Stanley comes in, he's slowly trying to figure out what kind of soda he wants. Jim leaves. Michael angrily hits a button. He says, "Peach iced tea, you're gonna hate it." Just so angry at Stanley.
Yeah, that's a good moment. My favorite moment is... Paul, why don't you go first? Because I'm still trying to decide which one of these I want to go with. So let's give your favorite moment, and then we'll come back to me.
I think my favorite moment is when Dwight's doing the stakeout. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how he once followed around a girlfriend of his for 6 days to find out she was cheating on him. And he's like, yes, she was, with multiple guys. So mission accomplished.
I think I'm going to go with the cold open, the updog bit. So we might as well just start talking about it since it's my favorite moment. So instead of just giving it and then going back and talking about it, let's just start talking about it as we begin talking about the show. So in my favorite moment, is it me or does it smell like updog in here, Joe?
I don't get it.
I just love that whole sequence because just Michael's got this thing that he wants to do and then he just can't quite do it right. So it was, for me, it's like the king of forwards fell flat on his face type of deal.
Yeah, and I love the reactions. First, Stanley shuts him down because he's on a call. He tries it on Kevin, and Kevin has no idea what's going on, which is a nice kind of a little more into the world of Kevin now. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Ryan's not interested, and then he finally gets it with Dwight, and he screws up the landing. Doesn't stick the landing. But I think of all, the whole sequence, my favorite part, I think, would probably be where Jim at the very end, just like, ooh, so close, as Michael's walking ashamedly into his office because he couldn't forward the joke correctly. Anyway, moving on. It's spring cleaning in January at Dunder Mifflin, Paul.
Yeah, and well, God, I think I'm getting a little ahead here in my notes, but when Ryan, I could do it in 5 minutes and never know I did it and leave and forget I worked here.
When he's at his desk. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Oscar is out sick and Dwight is tasked to investigate, Joe.
Yeah, we get Michael and Dwight out calling Oscar at home. Michael's asked him what's going on. He's like, I got the flu. And Michael has kind of a jaw-dropping racist. He's the famous Hispanic cleaning. They're missing him. I was like, oh.
Missing his famous Hispanic cleaning ethic, yes.
It's like, oh, boy, Michael.
Yeah, Michael's good for that low-key racism, when he in the form of a compliment, but certainly no stereotype is complimentary type of deal. But yeah, I thought the overboard reaction of then Michael telling Dwight to investigate, even though all the symptoms checked out. I don't know. I've never had a job that has gone to such great lengths to disprove my sickness. I don't know about you guys.
Never.
No.
Oh, it sounds like you had like more to add to that, Paul. Is there something similar?
I would say there was a company that we worked for together that I was sick one time, and I got like 4 or 5 phone calls, just to see if I was still home. And I thought I was really I went in and raised some hell when that happened.
Well, this is kind of similar to that then, because I mean, this goes further as we'll discuss, but that's how it starts. Is Dwight's giving him a call basically every hour on the hour just to check and make sure he's home.
Yeah, it was close to that. I would say it was close to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's obnoxious.
It was. Oh, believe me, I went and had a conversation with the manager who it was in HR. I was shortly released about a month later.
Having to do with that incident or independent?
I think it was what's the word I'm looking for? Retaliation.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to wonder if I don't know who you're talking about, but we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah, let's talk about that off air.
Okay. Well, moving on. Pam tells Kelly that she bought her veil, Joe.
Yeah, we get some wedding planning here. So she's talking about how she'll want to do her wedding look with her hair down, and then Michael walks in and immediately
makes it weird.
Yeah, makes it awkward with Mikey likey.
Boundaries.
You always wear your hair like that because you're sexy.
Anyway, we also get kind of a little bit of a burst of personality from Kelly in that scene too, when she asks her if she can be a bridesmaid. And it's been a really slow simmer. Paul, I'm curious, are you noticing the Kelly character starting to take shape? Because she was very shapeless early on.
She was very, very. They all were very shapeless early on, and I'm seeing by the end of this episode, you saw more Creed, you saw more Toby, you saw more Kevin, you see more of Oscar. Not giving anything away there. Mm-hmm. This episode, I was going to get to the end, but this episode especially felt like this was a real focus on fleshing out more of the background characters.
Character building episode.
Very much so. This is a character building episode. Yep.
Very fair. In a talking head, Jim admits to confiding in the world's worst confidant, Paul. We talked about this coming back.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen, didn't I?
Right, we should remind listeners, I know it's in our little thing that opens the show, but again, in case you've not listened to an episode of this show before, and why you would start here is confusing, but Paul has never seen The Office before, whereas Joe and I are big fans, so this is the first time Paul has seen The Secret, literally hours ago, right, Paul?
I watched it at about 4:30 this afternoon, yep.
And when we watched Booze Cruise, you made a prediction that Jim telling Michael about his crush on Pam was going to come back, and sure enough, we've come full circle.
Yeah, I saw this coming. I didn't see it in the way that it was done, but yeah, it came.
That's what she said. Jim soft pleads with Michael to keep the secret to himself, Joe.
Yeah, it's not a good sign when you're going to have a secret with Michael, and as you're walking out, he's singing "Our Lips Are Sealed" by the Go-Go's.
That was actually my runner-up for because he said it was by the Bengals. That was my runner-up for favorite moment, because Michael, that's a common thing. He's kind of the meme where, they'll take a picture of Bon Jovi and say, this is Def Leppard, who had their hit Enter Sandman, that kind of thing, that meme that goes around on like Facebook and whatever. Michael's kind of the origin of that, where he gets bands mixed up very easily. And this is a great example of that.
Yeah, it's great. And then we get kind of like a talking head of Michael, where he's like, me and Jim, we hang out a ton, mostly at work.
Oh, my God. All right, so when Stanley joins Jim and Michael in the break room, and we talked about this because this was your favorite moment, Joe, Michael tries to talk Jim in code about the whole peace situation. Paul, what was we've kind of heard Joe, so what was your impression of this scene?
It was just, it's such a Michaelism. Hey, how we doing in that P situation? P-A-M-A. Oh, okay, I'm done.
And Jim trying to wrangle him.
And then he gets mad at Stanley. How am I going to stand there and pick a drink? Here, you got peach iced tea. You're going to hate it. What the fuck, Michael?
Just how angry he is, too.
Oh, he's pissed.
Yeah, there's disdain there. I think that's really interesting about this episode, for me anyway, is the relationship between Jim and Michael. We haven't really seen a whole lot on that front. There have been bits and pieces here or there, but this is kind of a Jim and Michael episode. So yeah, we'll talk more here as more things progress. But early on, it's obvious Michael is seeing this like secret between them is almost like a bonding mechanism of some sort.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. He's in his mind. Is there? Give this away. Is there an episode where you just spend an episode in Michael's mind and how he views reality? Because I think that'd be a brilliant episode. Because what's going on around him and what's going on in Michael's head is two very different things, especially in this episode.
I will say that there's not an episode devoted to it, but there are episodes that you can say are like they spout from Michael's imagination or the way he does look at the world or the arts and things like that. So I don't know, yes and no, I guess, to answer your question. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah, there's gonna be moments you find out more about Michael, more about his childhood too, which is it adds up. So, but we're not there yet.
But soon, right, but very soon, actually. Now that you mention it, because I know what you're talking about. And yeah, that's sooner than later. Anyway, let's go to our first break, and we will come back, and we will keep talking The Secret. And boy, howdy, do things get cringy at a Hooters. All right, we'll be right back after this. If you're enjoying our Office podcast, be sure to check out Cast That Movie, the podcast where Paul and I, using our superhero aliases, revisit failed cinematic projects from the past. We discuss what went wrong, and then we try to fix the mess by going back in time and recasting the project with a cast we feel would have elevated the material. We also assign a new director/visionary. Because you can never have too much of a good thing, we also conjure up a dream project of something we would like to see made into a film, and we cast that as well. So find Cast That Movie on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, or at our home at thejodown.blog. Welcome back to Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office. We are talking Season 2, Episode 13, The Secret. And we resume our action with Dwight's investigation bringing him to Pam and her jelly beans, Joe.
Oh, God. Yeah, I love how she just dumps those things out as soon as he walks away. And she's even telling him those are communal for everybody.
Just the way he's chewing them, it's just really weird. It's obnoxious.
Oh, yeah, it's something. I don't blame Pam for throwing those suckers away.
No. All right, let's talk about it. I teased it before the break. Michael brings Jim to Hooters for lunch, Paul. Let's talk about that boatload of cringe that accompanies this particular lunch date.
So this was one of the things. I got a Hooters. We're gonna get to Hooters here. So I just want to preface this by saying this was one of the things that was up there with my favorite moments of the episode. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you guys a really uncomfortable story. My first trip when I was a young child to the Mall of America, shortly after it was open with my old man, ended at a lunch at a Hooters. And my dad getting hammered and hitting on two of the waitresses.
Oh, boy.
Boy, was it a lot like what happened there. Do we talk about the breast meat minus the breast? Or the chicken breast minus the chicken?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Holy fuck. Yeah, that's... Actually, honestly, that's an old salesman thing to do. I'm just going to throw that out there and say, yeah, I'm not surprised that Michael said that, and probably that's not the first time or the last time the Hooters waitress is going to hear that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you can tell by her reaction, and you can tell by Jim's reaction that Yeah, it's believably an old sitcom because he saw it coming a mile away, and he's like, "Don't do
it, Michael. Don't." He did it.
I have one question because after his little joke falls flat, what the hell is a gourmet hot dog at Hooters?
That's a
Fuck, I was going to look that up. Hang on. I was going to look that up.
Gourmet hot dog, like maybe Dijon mustard.
It pops up. So the gourmet hot dog platter. So yeah, this is a real item. I'm just gonna pull up here quick because I asked the same question. It's a $7 fucking hot dog, you guys.
Oh, shit.
Customize it. You could get it broiled or grilled. You could get it with American cheese, cheddar cheese, Monterey cheese, provolone cheese, Swiss cheese, but that's extra. $1 extra cheese. Oh, you can upgrade it to the tots. You guys, this is it's a $7 fucking hot dog at Hooters.
Was it got like artisan ketchup on it? I mean,
no, it's just a hot dog in a bun with fucking mustard in the picture I'm seeing and a side of fucking baked beans.
Jesus. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's move on here. Paul, your favorite moment, if Ryan had two, he could clean out his desk in 5 seconds and no one will ever have known that he'd been there. Joe?
Yeah. I think we've all been in a job where we kind of set ourselves up for that. Like, we hate it so much that, like, yeah, I could just vanish and nobody will ever know I ever sat there. I've been in Ryan's shoes there with that sentiment.
And Paul, what do you think what is it Ryan is? I mean, obviously Michael's a lot to handle as a boss and there's a lot of, unique personalities, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot put on his plate, right?
No, the early impression I get of Ryan is because there hasn't been a lot of development with the Ryan character in my mind.
Right.
My impression here is this is a guy that's going to business school. He's the epitome of these people that go to college and thinks they know everything other than the job. And once he gets in the job, he's like, oh, God, this one's going to be stupid. I'll get to the next one. Like, he doesn't realize what a job is. That's my impression of Ryan.
Okay. In a weird attempt to make himself more Jim-like, Michael musses up his hair, Paul.
Is that a wig you're wearing?
Starts drinking grape soda, too.
You don't drink grape soda.
I love grape soda, Dwight.
You don't like grape soda. You don't talk to Jim.
God. Yeah, that's, again, this just goes to show how insecure Michaelism is of himself.
Yeah. I also want to jump back just a little bit because at Hooters, before we go back to the office, Michael's asking Jim like what he sees in Pam, and Jim brings up like she has a great sense of humor, and Michael's like, really? She never gets any of my jokes.
And then Jim asks, what about you? Not asking that question. And Michael says her breasts, definitely.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Or was it probably her boobs? Knowing
yeah,
Michael,
I think it was her boobs. Yeah, her boobs.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's I don't know. The way I read it is Michael doesn't really have many friends. Probably his best friend that he sees regularly would be Dwight, and he's almost there's an animosity almost to having that be the truth. And then there's, Todd Packer, who we hardly see, who is just the worst friend in the world. And I think Michael's just trying to, he thinks he knows how to bro out, but Jim is just not that kind of guy. And he just can't read that, like the usual tricks that might work on, somebody like a Todd Packer. It's not going to work on a Jim.
No, he has a really hard time reading Jim, doesn't he?
Michael accidentally reveals the secret to Toby and Kelly, Joe.
And he just got his corporate credit card back. Yeah, he's defending the Hooters expense to Toby, and he spills the beans. which is like, again, Jim should have never confided into Michael.
Mm-hmm. And I think Jim saw this coming the whole time, too. He just knew it was a matter of time. And there's this kind of a sense of defeat I think you see early on that, this is just not going to end well. And he tries to prolong it, but it does happen. And when Jim learns that the cat is out of the bag, he confesses that, yes, he used to have a crush on Pam, Paul. Used to have a crush.
3 years ago when they first started working together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, I thought you should hear it from me instead of Michael, because you know how Michael is with secrets. Mm-hmm. And Pam seems to be like, oh yeah, and her face in that was, to me, was a cross between pain and understanding.
Okay. You don't think there's any confusion? Like, I don't know. You don't think Pam is kind of like caught on that Jim still kind of does have a crush on her?
I think she knows, but I think she doesn't let herself know. That's my opinion.
Interesting. After staking out Oscar's house for hours, Dwight learns the truth. Oscar was playing hooky, Paul, with Gil. He was playing hooky with Gil.
God damn it. Gil and him were going ice skating and shopping together. Boy, that's yep, I know Oscar's secret. He was playing hooky. Yeah. All right, Dwight. You're really on to things.
So busted. Ice skates, shopping bags. I know what's going on.
You're not sick at all.
You're not sick at all. Like, it totally. And you know what, though? This goes in a way to actually making Dwight seem more likable, because he doesn't. It's like it doesn't even faze him that obviously this is what's going on.
Dwight, what's that? Obviously, what's going on? That he was playing hooky, or that he's gay?
Oh, that he's married to a guy.
Oh, I don't think Dwight gets that.
No, that's the joke.
I know that, but I mean, it kind of plays to his thing of like, this is some obvious shit, and it just, Dwight is so childlike in the way he thinks and the way he views things in the world, that he's just like, oh, you're playing hooky. And like they're holding hands and on the couch, and he's backwards eating popcorn with them. Oh my God, it's just not clicking with him. Oh, child Dwight.
Oh, so his naivete, you're saying, makes him maybe little more endearing?
Yes, his naivety makes him a little bit more endearing.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, Jim asks Michael, what happened, Joe? What happened?
Oh, this was up there with one of my favorites, because Michael just starts breaking down, and Jim is like, he's going in there to confront him, and he ends up having to console the guy that unleashed his big secret, because he's crying and weeping.
He wasn't. I mean, Jim doesn't seem the type to get mad. I don't think we've ever truly seen him get angry. So that's about as intense as he can come in from what we've seen so far. But yeah, Michael does break down, and his words are, please don't stop being my friend. And this is his employee. He's the boss. And the friendship means more to him than their work relationship. Paul, your take on that?
Well, again, it just goes to show how weak, again, he is. He's one of those things where, I mean, for as good as he is at the sales thing, Michael has no sense of self. And he's so worried. He just wants to be liked. And it goes to, I mean, it explains why he gravitates towards Todd Packard. Because Todd is a bully and can get whatever he wants, and he's just happy with whatever. He doesn't realize he's Todd's Dwight.
As if he hadn't fucked up enough this episode, Michael reveals to Pam that the crush was not from 3 years ago, but rather 2 episodes ago on the booze cruise, Paul.
And then she's like, wait, he told you, or I'm done. he just cannot win today. He should have burned his foot on a Foreman grill and stayed home.
But he wouldn't stay home, though. As we've learned.
That's true. He was showing up in bubble wrap. Yeah, that's a good point.
We learned that Michael doesn't want to end up as a call girl on the run for murder working at a bordello in Malibu, Joe. This is how we end the episode.
Yeah, more secrets of a call girl. he's comparing it to his kind of. Well, he tries to compare it to his situation, and he's just like, I just don't want to end up like that. Like,
I just love how we got like life advice from a Skinamax movie. Like cautionary tale right here. I want to end up working at a bordello in Malibu.
Michael's philosophy is based on Skinamax. Oh, God.
Anyway, I think that does it for Season 2, Episode 13, The Secret, and our talk of it. But we are going to come back after the break, and we are each going to list who we thought had the best showing for the episode, the winner, if you will. And then we are going to give our general takeaway from the episode and what it meant for the Office canon. And then Paul is going to let us know if The Secret was enough to overtake The Injury as his favorite episode. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Paul Muad'Dib, one half of Podcast Above a Convenience Store, Talkin Twin Peaks, which I work on with Joseph Fremming, who's also on the podcast that you're listening to right now. We go through all of Twin Peaks, Season 1, Season 2, the movie, the books. Right now we're digging into Season 3, which will end the podcast with the final dossier, which was the last book that was put out by Mark Frost, putting a cap on everything that's happened in the Twin Peaks universe. So please, check us out. You can find us on the joedown.blog with everything else on here. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. There's no reason why you don't want to listen.
Welcome back to Bears, Beats, Bobbleheads, Talking Office, and we are wrapping up our talk of Season 2, Episode 13, The Secret. All right, now it is time for the part of the show where we each list our winner of the episode and our general takeaway and what we took away from that takeaway for the episode. Joe, get us started, please.
Just because, like, I've been in situations that Jim has been in, I'm going to say Jim gets this episode because I can relate to having, like, a secret about a girl, like, being spilled. So, yeah, I could sense, like, the anxiety a little bit with Jim there and trying to put out the fires of Michael in the office. So, yeah, Jim won it for me. It was close between him and Dwight.
Okay, and then what's your impression of the episode compared to what we've seen so far?
It's like what Paul said. It's character building, so we're getting to know a little bit more about these background characters. We learned a lot more about Oscar, and we got a little bit more of Kelly. Creed, he has one of the best moments where he weasels out because he thought it was voluntary. So, like, we get these little things, like, and Meredith throwing out, like, booze bottles when they're cleaning out. So we're, like, just like in the background, we're seeing a little more character development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as the winner for me, I'm going to agree with you that I'm going to give it to Jim too, because it was a very restrained performance, and you're right. You can kind of see the anxiety of the character throughout. Again, knowing that this secret is with the worst secret holder in the office, and knowing that it's only a matter of time, and still managing to be a fun character to watch, even though it was just anxiety for basically the entire 20 some odd minutes. So yeah, I'll definitely agree with you there. I'm going to give it to Jim. And then, yeah, my takeaway is this is an episode very similar for me, like Email Surveillance. It's a episode that you do see a lot of growth in a lot of characters. We learn Oscar's gay, for instance, even though no one else knows that yet, but we know that. And then, yeah, just little scenes. Even the little Ryan scene just shows how indifferent he is, to the office. It may not make you like or dislike him any more or less, but it shows, where he's at as a person. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the Kelly scene where with Pam, he immediately makes it about herself and asks to be a bridesmaid. So we're seeing some personality growing there as well. So yeah, not a classic by my standards by any means, but I think an important episode in its own right. So let's move on to you, Paul. Then, who won the episode, and what was your takeaway seeing it for the first time?
So, yeah, mine was Jim as well. It was a toss-up between Jim and Dwight, honestly. But yeah, I had to agree with you guys with Joe's appraisal of the situation. I've been in Jim's position at work in that situation. I have not been in Dwight's where I've had to stake someone out at their house to see if they, so I couldn't relate to that very well.
You haven't lived, Paul.
I apparently have not lived. Yeah, it's so, and my again, I already kind of given my impression of the episode that this was more of a character builder episode. Totally. There was one other thing that we didn't touch on that was probably my favorite line.
Okay.
Of the episode, which was Creed. Which one's Pam?
Yes.
I thought that was brilliant. That was a great line. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a very subdued episode compared to what we've been dealing with, kind of rapid fire comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean the last two episodes we've watched here, it was the injury, and then Booze Cruise. So each of them, upon watching them, became your favorite episode after, like, it one dethroned the next. Like Booze Cruise took the title, and then the injury took it the next week after. So I'm gonna just go out on a limb. It doesn't sound like this is the kind of episode that's going to overtake either of those, or especially the last one, the injury, as your favorite. Would I be right in that appraisal?
Correct. You are. Yeah. This had no chance of overtaking the injury. Yeah.
Okay. All right, but nonetheless, you'd agree it was a good episode, a solid episode, just wasn't a gutbuster.
Yes, it was a good, solid episode for sure. And again, it moved the show along in continuity. And again, it gave more insight to the characters, but it just wasn't enough.
Right. And then your favorite character up to date from the start has been Jim. Seeing you gave him this episode and related to him so strongly, would it be also safe to assume that has not changed?
That has not changed, no.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, that does it for Season 2, Episode 13, The Secret. But we will be back next week, and we are going to be covering Season 2, Episode 14, The Carpet. Until then, that's Joe, that's Paul, I'm Scott. This is Bears Beats Bobbleheads Talking Office, and we will talk to you next week. For more podcasts like this one and general pop culture tomfoolery, be sure to visit thejoedown.blog. That's thejoedown.blog.